Imagine a kingdom smaller than New Jersey, landlocked, half-forgotten, easy to miss on any map that quietly holds 4 of the strangest world records on Earth. Because this is a country where the oldest mine on the planet dug 48,000 years before the pyramids sits an hour from a music festival CNN calls one of Africa's best. Where you can walk with wild rhinos at sunrise for less than an American breakfast, then watch 40,000 women dance in reed skirts before the last absolute monarch in Africa. Where a 3-billion-year-old granite dome, the second largest on Earth, casts its shadow over a capital that feels like a mountain town in Colorado. And where the modern city gives way to a beehive-shaped village unchanged for 300 years in under 30 minutes. This is Eswatini, the tiny kingdom formerly known as Swaziland. By the end of this journey, you'll see why the smallest country in southern Africa might be the biggest surprise of your travel life. Picture a country the size of New Jersey. Now shrink it a little more. That's Eswatini, sitting between South Africa and Mozambique, twice the size of Rhode Island. 200 kilometers north to south, 130 east to west. You could drive across the entire country before your morning coffee gets cold. But here's the wild part. Inside those tiny borders, you don't get one landscape, you get 4. The Highveld. The western spine is cool green, mountainous. Rolling hills at roughly 6,000 feet, about the elevation of Denver. This is where the capital Mbabane sits. Pine forests, waterfalls, air so clean it almost hurts. Drop 1,000 feet and you're in the Middelveld softer hills, fertile valleys, sugarcane, and pineapple farms. Drop another 1,000, and now you're in the Lowveld. Hot, dry savanna, baobab trees, big game country. Summers hit 95 degrees Fahrenheit, sometimes 104. And along the eastern edge, the Lubombo Plateau, ancient escarpment, cattle country. 4 completely different worlds. In a country you can cross in 2 hours. Here's a fact that stopped me cold. The rocks in Malolotja Nature Reserve are 3.5 billion years old, older than complex life, older than oxygen in the air. When you hike there, you're walking on the oldest exposed rocks on the planet. And on clear winter nights, because Eswatini has almost no light pollution, the Milky Way looks like it's been painted on the sky in 3D. Real talk, most Americans have never actually seen the night sky. Here, you don't just see it, you feel small in a way that's actually good for you. The weather is one of Eswatini's quiet gifts. Winter May through September is dry, sunny and cool, perfect for safari. Summer brings dramatic afternoon thunderstorms in the Highveld. Lightning so beautiful you'll forget to take a picture. And once every 20 years or so, snow falls on Mbabane. Snow. In Africa, just another Eswatini paradox. Before we continue our wonderful journey to Eswatini, let me know what time it is, where you're watching, and which country you're in. Drop it in the comments. About 1.2 million people call Eswatini home. They call themselves Emeswati. Their language, Siswati, is a Bantu language cousin to Zulu, part of the great Nguni family of southern Africa. Here's what makes Emeswati culture uniquely their own. Eswatini is Africa's last absolute monarchy. King Mswati III has ruled since 1986. Unlike most kings today, he's not ceremonial. He holds real, unchallenged authority over the government. But the king doesn't rule alone. Eswatini has something called dual monarchy. The king is called Ngwenya, the lion. His mother, the queen mother, is called Ndlovukati, the lady elephant. She rules alongside him, not behind him, with him. It's one of the only functioning dual monarchies left on Earth. And here's a record that belongs in every world history textbook, but somehow isn't. King Sobhuza II, Mswati's father, reigned for 82 years and 254 days, from 1899 to 1982. It's the longest verified reign of any monarch in all of recorded human history. He met Presidents Kennedy and Reagan. He signed his country's independence. 8 decades on a single throne. His son, King Mswati, has continued that legacy. And yes, he visited the Obama White House in 2013. Barack and Michelle themselves welcomed him. The Emeswati people, they'll tell you they're some of the friendliest folks in all of Africa. And they mean it. There's a philosophy here called Ubuntu. Umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu. A person is a person through other persons. I am because we are. Mandela lived by it. Obama quoted it. It's still the invisible thread tying this whole country together. They even have a word sonini with no English translation. It's the feeling of just sitting together with someone you love, saying absolutely nothing. Try to sell that concept back home. And their music. A young woman from Eswatini named Uncle Waffles, a DJ, only in her 20s, headlined Coachella in 2023. The smallest country in southern Africa produced the biggest Amapiano star on Earth. Now you know why I love this place. You've completed the first part of our journey. If you're loving Eswatini as much as I am, drop a 1 in the comments below. Because what's coming next are the incredible things you don't want to miss. Stay with me, my friend. Now here's something you almost never see anywhere else on Earth. In Eswatini, the distance between city and village is measured in minutes, not hours. 30 minutes of driving, and you'll go from a modern shopping mall to a village that hasn't changed shape in 3 centuries. The country has 2 main cities, 2 completely different personalities. Mbaban is the capital, 95,000 people, sitting up in the high veld at almost 4,000 feet, cool, quiet, surrounded by green hills. Honestly, it feels less like an African capital and more like a small mountain town in Colorado. From downtown Mbabane, you're literally 8 kilometers from Sibebe Rock, one of the largest granite domes on Earth. Manzini, the second city, is the opposite. 110,000 people. Locals call it the hub. The Manzini market spills across whole city blocks, hundreds of vendors selling live chickens, traditional herbs, fresh mangoes. Chaotic, loud, alive. Locals say Mbabane is for resting, Manzini is for living. Between them lies the Izulwini Valley, the Valley of Heaven. Royal palaces, hot spring spas, cultural villages. 90% of tourists end up here at some point, but here's the part that stops you in your tracks. The moment you leave the highway, you're inside an Umutia homestead, a circle of beehive-shaped huts thatched with dry grass arranged around a central cattle byre called the Sibebe. And those cattle, not for eating. They're the family bank account, the wedding dowry, the living store of wealth. 80% of Eswatini's land isn't owned by the government. It's Swazi nation land held in trust for the people, managed by traditional chiefs. And 95% of Swazis living in the city still have a village to go back to on weekends, their grandmother's beehive hut, and she's probably on WhatsApp texting them to come home for dinner. Modernity and tradition in Eswatini don't fight. They live in the same family. Speaking of family, let me introduce you to the real superstars of this kingdom. They're not people, they're rhinos. Picture this sunrise at Ndlovu Camp in Hlane Royal National Park. Mist still hanging over the waterhole, and out of the acacia trees, one by one, 6, 7, 11, white rhinos walk in and start drinking. You're 20 feet away, on foot. A white rhino weighs 4,000 to 5,000 pounds, twice a bull moose. His horn can be 60 inches longer than your entire arm. And white rhino. The name comes from an old Dutch word, wide, meaning wide mouth. Someone heard white and it stuck. Here's what makes rhinos so fragile. A female has one baby every 3 to 4 years, 16 months of pregnancy. A rhino population once destroyed takes decades to recover, and Eswatini knows this pain. In the 1980s, this country lost 80% of its rhinos to poaching, sold to buyers in Asia for false medicine. But then the Swazis did something no other African country did. They passed a law: if a ranger catches you poaching a rhino, he can shoot on sight. The hardest anti-poaching law on the continent. And it worked. Today, Eswatini has the highest concentration of white rhinos per square mile in all of southern Africa. And you can walk with them at Ngwenya for 2 hours. For $14, 2 Starbucks lattes. A ranger named Musa told me, "We don't protect these rhinos for us. We protect them for our grandchildren, so they can still know what it feels like to stand next to something this beautiful and this alive." But rhinos aren't the only living treasure Eswatini has been quietly protecting. Every year in late August, something happens here that has no equal anywhere on Earth. 40,000 unmarried young women from every corner of the country gather at Lvillageeswatini royal residence. This is the Umhlanga reed dance, 8 days long. And on day 6, when the dancing begins in earnest, it becomes the largest cultural gathering in Africa. Here's how it works. The maidens walk sometimes for miles to wetlands, where they cut tall reeds with machetes. They tie those reeds into bundles as tall as themselves and carry them back to the Queen Mother's palace. Symbolically, they're renewing loyalty to the crown. Then comes the dance. If you've ever been to Coachella and thought that was overwhelming, Umhlanga makes Coachella look like a coffee shop open mic. Imagine 40,000 women in bright Sidwaba skirts, cowhide beaded hand-woven, ankle rattles on every leg, regiments moving in perfect unison across the parade grounds like, and I'm quoting a British journalist, vast ululating centipedes of color. Drums, shouts, and stamping feet carry 3 miles across the valley. The king stands in ceremonial dress. Each regiment approaches, Each regiment dances before him in turn. Here's what's beautiful. Umhlanga isn't stuck in the past. Today, the songs also carry messages of women's health and education. A ceremony 400 years old has become a platform for the future. But every celebration in Eswatini eventually leads to the same thing: food. Swazi cooking is comfort food. Thick, slow, honest, rooted in the land. Start with sishwala, the daily staple. A stiff maize porridge you eat with your hands. Like Italian polenta, but denser. You scoop up a piece, dip it into meat stew, and go. Then there's kushu, cracked corn kernels cooked slow with beans and mashed peanuts. Sunday lunch in most Swazi families. And the crispy layer stuck to the bottom of the pot, that's called skoko. Everyone at the table fights over it. Then a masi fermented milk made inside a dried gourd, exactly the same way it's been made for 3 centuries. Like Greek yogurt, but Tangier. For breakfast, Ngwenya, golden brown fried dough, 30 cents each. Cheaper than M and Ms. Order too. Trust me. There's also a drink here made from a fruit that literally makes elephants drunk. But I'll save that story. It deserves its own moment. Now let me take you to where Eswatini stopped being just a country in my head and became one of my favorite places on earth. The word Hlane means wilderness in Siswati. And when a king gives you his royal hunting grounds and turns them into a national park, this is what happens. Hlane covers 22,000 hectares, about 85 square miles. King Sobhuza II declared it in 1967. 4 of the big 5 live here: lion, elephant, white rhino, leopard. The only member missing is buffalo, and the density of rhino higher than anywhere in southern Africa. Here's what a morning looks like. You wake at Ndlovu camp in a stone chalet lit by gas lanterns. Ndlovu means elephant because they walk through camp at night between the buildings. You step out at dawn. The waterhole is 50 yards away. 6 white rhinos are already drinking. A giraffe walks in behind them. A herd of impala flanks the far side. Marabou stalks enormous prehistoric-looking birds flap heavily overhead. Then, in the distance, you hear a lion roar. Not a zoo lion, a wild one. Deep, vibrating through the ground. You'll feel it in your ribs before you hear it in your ears. And here's what will really shock you: the price. Camping is $8 a night. Park entrance is $4. A 2-hour guided walking safari tracking rhinos on foot is $14. $14 to walk with a wild rhino. Cheaper than a burger in Manhattan. And it's something you literally cannot do at Yellowstone, no matter how rich you are. A ranger there named Napoleon once said to visitors, "We aren't running a safari business. We're running a kingdom of what's still left alive." That stuck with me. But rhinos aren't Eswatini's oldest treasure. To find that, we have to go 48,000 years into the past. Here's a fact that should be in every world history textbook, but somehow isn't. The oldest mine in the world isn't in Egypt, not in Mesopotamia. It's here in a mountain called Ngwenya in northwest Eswatini. Lion Cavern, dug by human hands 48,000 years ago. Not a typo. According to a 2024 Nature Communications study, this is officially the world's oldest evidence of intensive mining, older than the pyramids by 43,000 years, older than farming, older than writing. What were prehistoric people mining? Not gold, not iron. They were mining hematite to make red ochre, the world's first pigment. They used it to paint their bodies, mark ceremonies, bury their dead. Medicine, art, identity. And here's a beautiful detail. The ancient miners believed a great horned snake, the god of the underworld, lived at the mountain's heart. So they only dug on the summit, out of respect. That same red ochre is still used today in Swazi wedding ceremonies, a tradition running unbroken for 48,000 years. You've probably heard of Uluru Ayers Rock in Australia. Meet its bigger, less famous cousin, Sibebe Rock, the second largest granite dome on Earth, 3 billion years old, just 8 kilometers from downtown Mbabane, which means you can eat brunch in the capital hike a 3 billion-year-old rock and be back for dinner. Sibebe rises 350 meters above the surrounding hills, about 1,100 feet. The climb takes an hour and a half. Steep, dry. But once you're up there, you get a 360-degree view of Eswatini stretching in every direction. At sunset, clouds pour into the valleys below like slow-motion water. The sky turns gold-orange, then blood-red. The granite glows with the last of the light. Locals call Sibebe the bald head, smooth, rounded, ancient. If you've ever climbed Half Dome in Yosemite, Sibebe is bigger, fewer crowds, same feeling of awe. There's a place in northwestern Eswatini where the earth reveals its oldest secrets. It's called Malolotja Nature Reserve. 18,000 hectares of wild highveld, about 70 square miles, 200 kilometers of hiking trails from an easy morning stroll to a 5-day trek. And underneath your feet, the oldest exposed rocks on Earth. The Swaziland supergroup, 3.5 billion years old. Ocean sediment from before Earth had oxygen. Rising out of the middle of the reserve, Malolotja Falls, 95 meters, 312 feet higher than the Statue of Liberty from base to torch. At dawn, mist pools in the valleys like milk in a bowl. The sound of the falls is deep constant, like a distant 747 that never lands. You can stay in traditional beehive chalets with modern bathrooms inside. Malolotja also has the only zipline canopy tour in Eswatini. You fly through treetops that haven't been disturbed in centuries. Malolotja is the kind of beauty that makes you whisper, not shout. Between France and Eswatini, one of these countries has more bird species. Spoiler, it's not France. Eswatini, 30 times smaller than France, is home to more than 500 species. Bateleur eagles riding the thermals, lilac-breasted rollers flying rainbows, marabou storks 5 feet tall staring like disappointed grandfathers. But the real crown jewel is a tiny blue creature almost nobody outside Africa has heard of. The blue swallow, 6 inches long, metallic blue back, long forked tail. It migrates from South Sudan every year. And here's the incredible truth. Eswatini is the only known breeding site left on the entire African continent. If Malolotja loses its blue swallows, the species may go extinct. Only about 30 nesting pairs remain, guarded, watched, monitored. If you're a bird watcher, Malolotja is the holy grail. Nowhere else on Earth can you see them raise their chicks. A guide named Sifo told me, if we lose these swallows, we don't lose one species. We lose 30 years of our father's work. Now let's come back to Earth, because there's a fruit here that literally makes elephants drunk. Part 12. Marula, the fruit that gets elephants drunk. Every February and March, a golden fruit falls from the trees, and the entire country stops what it's doing. Meet the Marula tree, the national tree. Its fruit smells like citrus mango, and pineapple had a delicious argument. 4 times the vitamin C of an orange. And when the fruit ferments, elephants show up. Yes, confirmed by science, elephants really do get tipsy on fermented marula. Humans get in on it too. The traditional drink is called Buganu Marula wine, fermented for 3 days, 7 to 8% alcohol, sweet, golden, dangerous. The Gogo's village grandmothers brew Buganu. Each family has its own secret recipe. Every February, the country celebrates with the Marula festival with the king and queen mother in attendance. And here's a fun one for Americans. That Amarula liqueur at Costco with the elephant on the label. Same fruit, same tree. Just took a detour through South Africa to your shelf. One fruit, one season, one festival. That's how home keeps time. Here's what Eswatini's artisans do with your trash. They turn it into museum pieces. At Ngwenya Glass, master glass blowers work furnaces that reach 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Their raw material, 100% recycled glass bottles. Every glass elephant, every crystal fish, every wine goblet started as a Coca-Cola bottle or an old jam jar. The workshop was founded in 1979. Today, Ngwenya Glass is sold at the Smithsonian gift shop in Washington. You can watch a glassblower shape a molten glass elephant in under 5 minutes, around $30. Every piece is one of a kind. Then there's Gone Rural, a cooperative of over 750 Swazi women, weaving baskets from wild vetiver grass, endorsed by Oprah, sold at Anthropology, shipped to 50 countries. Each of these things isn't just a souvenir. It's a family sending a kid to school. That's something Amazon can't sell you. Now for the moment when this whole country lights up. Literally. Every last weekend of May, this tiny country becomes the center of the African music universe. This is MTN Bushfire. CNN calls it one of the 7 African festivals you have to see before you die. 23,000 attendees from 50 different countries. 3 days. One venue, a magical place called House on Fire in the Malkerns Valley. The venue looks like Antoni Gaudi built a nightclub in Africa. Gothic, mosaic, sculpture, fire pits. CNN once called it one of the most unique festival venues on Earth. The slogan is, "Bring your fire." Everyone shows up with their own light. By nightfall on Friday, the whole valley is buzzing. The lineup mixes local and global. Uncle Waffles, the Swazi DJ headlining Coachella just months earlier, brings the Amapiano, Moonchild Sanelli, Young Stunner, musicians from South Africa, the UK, Japan, Australia, Colombia. Traditional Mantenga cultural village dance groups open Friday night with the ancient Sibhaka stomping dance. And it's not just music. Theater, poetry, circus, handcraft markets, workshops on drumming and language. There's even a kid zone, because Bushfire is that rare festival where you can bring your family without regret. One visitor described her arrival like this: "Even the immigration officers were singing and dancing when we crossed the border." Bushfire doesn't start at the festival. It starts at the border. If you've ever been to Bonnaroo or Coachella, imagine those but with an African soul 10 times deeper, and a crowd only 1/10 as large. That's Bushfire. All right, now you know what to see. Let me tell you exactly how to see it. Before we wrap up, here's the practical stuff. Best time to visit is winter May through September. Dry, sunny, cool. Grass is short. Animals gather at waterholes. Late May is Bushfire. Late August through early September is Umhlanga. December brings Nkwala. February and March is Marula season. Costs, here's the beautiful part. Eswatini is one of the affordable great destinations left on Earth. Budget travel, $40 to $60 a day. Camping at Hlane is $8. Swazi food is $3 to $5 a meal. Combi minivan taxis cost 50 cents to $1. Mid-range. 100 to 150 a day gets you Eswatini Valley hotels and guided game drives. Luxury lodges at Makaya run $300 to $500 a night for private walking safaris with rhinos. Flying in from the US, you'll route through Johannesburg. From JFK, IAD, or LAX, expect 1,000 to 1,400 round trip, about 16 hours in the air. From Johannesburg, 4 hours by car, or a 45-minute flight to Mpaka. Currency is the lvillageeswatini, pegged 1-to-1 with the South African rand. Visa cards work almost everywhere. Visa's great news for Americans. You do not need one. Passport valid 3 months after your return date. You can stay 30 days visa-free. Quick etiquette. At royal ceremonies, women wear a wrap called an emahia over shorts or leggings. Do not photograph the king or queen mother without permission. Learn sawubona and nyabonga. Locals light up when you try. Eswatini is small, but it teaches you something big about family, about land, about time. Eswatini, a beehive village at sunrise, a rhino at a waterhole, 40,000 women dancing in reed skirts, a 48,000-year-old mine still whispering its secrets to anyone patient enough to listen, and a friendship that starts with a single word, sawubona, I see you. If you ever set foot in this small kingdom, you'll leave with something you can't quite name. Because Eswatini isn't just Africa's smallest, most forgotten kingdom. It's proof that the tiniest places sometimes hold the biggest hearts. If Eswatini just made your bucket list, drop sawubona in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey, hit like, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next country we visit together. Where should we go next? Bhutan, Cabo Verde, Mongolia, Peru. Drop your guess below and share this video with the friend you want to travel with. Because a beehive hut sunrise is better with someone you love. Until next time, my friend Salakala. Stay well. Salakala from Eswatini.